So the week of July 15th through the 22nd, um, this is where I think we're gonna notice this like energetic shift happening in the month. So Mercury is still gonna be retrograding in Cancer, and the sun is still gonna be in Cancer, but a whole host of other planets are gonna be in air signs, which stimulate our mind through ideas, communication, innovation. Um, Kind of it almost in this apathetic way at times. And also fire signs, which ignite passion, courage, and creative activity, impulse, but impulse that's often kind of guided by our passion. So this contrast is kind of striking, and there's a number of like smaller aspects happening throughout this month that I just want to, throughout this week, the 15th to the 22nd, right before the sun moves into Leo. So even though it's the last week of Cancer season, I think there's all this other energy moving in, and I'm gonna like highlight them, um, and just know that, you know, we'll just go from there. So on the 15th, Uranus in Gemini sextiles at 60-degree angle, Neptune retrograding in Aries. So Uranus is that planet of innovation, liberation, and sudden awakenings. And there's this harmonious sextile with Neptune retrograding, which is that planet of spirituality, imagination, higher consciousness. So this aspect gives us the opportunity. It doesn't demand action, but it opens a door for us to consciously step through. Breakthroughs may arrive through conversations, learning, writing, or unexpected ideas that challenge our usual ways of thinking. Neptune in Aries retrograding asks us to look honestly at our identity and dissolve illusions. These are things that should be familiar to us because we've talked about these planets already earlier in the reading. Together, I think these planets create a really beautiful opportunity for inspired thinking and intuitive insight. You might find yourself connecting with ideas that previously felt unrelated and suddenly understanding something that has been unfolding beneath the surface for a long time. It's a great day for brainstorming, meditating, journaling, or exploring creative projects. And again, rather than forcing solutions, just remain open to the inspiration that arrives in unexpected ways. On July 17th, Uranus in Gemini still, trines, 120-degree angle, Pluto retrograding in Aquarius. Trine happens between signs of the same element. So this is an air sign trine. So Uranus is forming this like flowing trine to Pluto retrograding. Both planets are in air signs, Gemini and Aquarius. So the transformation is going to begin in the mind, right? Pluto wants to transform, Uranus wants to disrupt, the air signs bringing the mind. Old beliefs, outdated perspectives, limited ways of thinking may begin falling away with surprising ease during this beautiful flowing trine. On both a personal and collective level, I think this aspect really supports our innovation, our technological advancements, and our progressive thinking. But on an individual level, we might feel like more ready to embrace changes that really felt intimidating before. Like this allows the disruption to feel easy. It allows that transformation that Pluto craves from us to feel easy. And because Pluto's retrograding, it is going to be those internal shifts that we're kind of like, maybe avoiding, but suddenly they feel easy around the 17th. On the 20th, Jupiter in Leo, newly in Leo, celebrating itself, trines Neptune retrograde in Aries. So we have Leo, we have Jupiter playing here again, we have Neptune playing here again. Neptune's getting some action this month. And they're both in fire signs. That's what that trine angle is between Aries and between Leo, the fire signs. So we know that Jupiter is that planet of growth, expansion, wisdom. We know Neptune is that planet of, dreams, our deepest truth. Because it's retrograding, we'll be removing fantasies. So I do think that this aspect is going to increase compassion, creativity, and intuition, and also spiritual connection. I think writers and artists and healers and anyone engaged in that creative kind of heart-centered work may feel very inspired, but even if that's not directly what you're doing, I think you might feel inspired in that way. Neptune can sometimes blur those boundaries, so just staying grounded. It is okay to dream boldly because it's Jupiter, but we want to keep taking practical steps toward our dreams. That's retrograding Neptune in Aries. So allowing yourself to imagine what becomes possible when your dreams are rooted in authenticity, Aries, not escapism. Also on the 20th, Jupiter in Leo. So Jupiter's getting some action on the 20th. It's also opposing, which is a little bit more of a sticky angle, opposing Pluto retrograding in Aquarius. So this is an opposition between an axis of the zodiac. So Leo's part of that axis is um, self-celebration. Aquarius's part of that axis is others celebration. That's really simplifying it. Um, but Aquarius wants to celebrate everyone, wants everyone to be liberated, wants things to be equal. Leo is okay to celebrate itself, and both are really needed, in my humble opinion. The opposition invites us to have awareness by highlighting the tension between those two perspectives. So just being aware that that's the tension that's going to come in. Jupiter is really seeking expansion, right? It wants to optimize, it wants to think about possibility. Pluto's there retrograding, asking us to examine where power, control, transformation, healing, and integration are operating below the surface, again, because it's retrograding. Since Leo naturally emphasizes that personal expression and individual leadership through like being on the stage of your own life, and Aquarius really reminds us to consider the needs of the collective, this, again, that's just the highlight of the tension. This aspect might illuminate for us. I think it's going to power dynamics within relationships, but especially like within community and even within ourself, parts of ourselves. We may notice where our desire to grow conflicts with our unconscious fears around control, recognition, and influence, which is actually some pretty big energy, especially like for me as an entrepreneur. I'm like, okay, that's going to be interesting to work through. So this energy is going to feel intense. Like there's no getting around it. It's going to feel intense because Jupiter is amplifying something. Pluto is a really intense energy and it's retrograding. So the intensity is kind of inside. But the true confidence here does not require domination. This aspect reminds us that authentic leadership grows from integrity, not control. And so on July the 21st, Jupiter in Leo, more Jupiter action, is going to sextile, make that 60-degree angle with Uranus and Gemini. So when something sextiles, the thing it has in common, like this is a fire sign and an air sign, but the thing it has in common is the polarity of it, which is more outward, more masculine. That might be a fun astro education topic, actually, the different features of each zodiac, because we have polarity. Okay, I'm not going to get on a tangent. So this is one of the most exciting aspects of the month, right? Sextiles give us this like opportunity. And Jupiter is that, planet of expansion. I think I've said this before. And it forms this supportive sextile with Uranus, this planet of innovation and unexpected opportunities. So I think together they create this optimistic, this curious, this possibility environment. Unexpected invitations, exciting conversations, surprising opportunities may appear during this time as if out of nowhere. What begins as a small idea could grow really quickly into something much larger than anticipated. Gemini encourages us to maintain our curiosity and our open mind. Leo wants us to trust our creativity and our unique perspective. And then we have this disruption, innovative energy of Uranus and this expansive, lucky energy of Jupiter. I mean, come on. This combination is about learning and teaching and launching new ideas, embracing opportunities that stretch us beyond our comfort zones. Rather than dismissing something because it's unfamiliar, consider whether it's something that's inviting you to say yes to a future that you haven't yet thought possible. And it really is going to check us on that place of, where have you decided what's possible? Because we don't actually know. So remaining flexible, curious, and willing to follow the inspiration where it leads us. Now on July 22nd, Neptune retrograding in Aries. This is the last one in this kind of banger of a week. Neptune retrograding in Aries makes a 60-degree angle with Pluto retrograding in Aquarius. We have the polarity of masculine. We've got fire sign, air sign. We've got two retrograding outer planets. So this is a remarkable week with subtle yet deeply significant aspects between this Neptune retrograde and Pluto retrograde. This might influence this influence may not feel like immediate or noticeable because it's like they're far away from us. But because they're retrograde, there's going to be these pieces within us, this internal experience that we may notice. And again, it might be that quiet shift in perspective. Like so quiet, we may not actually notice it, but I just want to highlight that we have this opportunity. This aspect does support long-term evolution, reminding us that meaningful transformation rarely happens all at once. Instead, it usually unfolds in small moments of awareness. This whole the 15th to the second 22nd is like this really powerful week of um like allowing yourself to like pause and reflect on everything that's shifting within you while also Mercury retrograde is doing this thing in Cancer. I think that there's a lot of inspiration and momentum and like clarity that can come through all of these angles that are coming in this week. And how they unfold together, I think is really fascinating as well. So we'll drop those reminders in throughout the month so we can really utilize this energy the best we can.